going to show you how to do a field seam. The way I like to do it, to mark my seam is I use my finger, but now that may not work for everybody. Once you get out there looking at it, the tape has got to stick out past the edge of this rubber about 1/4 of an inch out. You don't want to be out any further than 3/4. If you do that, then we have to do a different fix on it. We have to run a 5-inch form flash over the top of that. So you want to stay within those tolerances. It works real good for me with the finger. So basically all I do, I use my finger as a guide on the rubber and I mark it. Now, if you're just starting to do this, it's best to have your marks closer together. After you get used to doing them, you can have them further apart then, but to start with, keep them a couple feet apart. You'll get a nice straight line. It'll look real uniform and symmetrical with everything. All right, after that is marked, now what we're going to do, we have to be able to fold that back, so we're going to use the primer to stick that top membrane back. And that is as simple as this. You're just going to take your primer pad and make some little strips like that in it. Those can be 4 or 6 feet apart, depending on the wind and everything that's outside. So you let that flash just a tiny bit. You don't want it to dry, but you let it flash off just for a second or two. And then you want to take this back and fold it back. You want to be back about 4 inches, because your seam tape is 3. I'll give you room to pull the paper off of the tape. So you just stick that in place. Now what you're going to do is you're going to prime both sides of that. You're going to do both this piece of membrane and this one all the way through. Now, when you do that, make sure you get out past those white marks just a little bit. The inspectors really like to see that. When you do your top sheet, make sure your primer, you leave a little prime line there, because there are inspectors that look for that. That way it's telling them it's primed all the way out to that very edge. And here again, you use slight pressure when you're doing the priming. You want to be sure not to get ponding. If you do, you feather it all back together. Don't leave it, because it will distort the rubber. And there are factory seams on this rubber as well. Make sure that gets primed very, good in those little grooves that you see in it. All right, I'm going to show you how to apply the tape now. We got the primer on according to all the specs and everything. So I'll show you how to lay the tape and to finish this seam. So the most important part of laying this is to get your first one set. So you want to set from 2 points. So you're going to point A to B, basically just like that. And when you prime, you want to make sure you don't prime hard to erase your crayon marks that you put on there. So you're going to be just follow your marks that you have with the edge of your tape. And there again, when you mark that, that's going to vary a little bit from person to person. So whoever marks it, it's a good rule. Whoever marks it out actually sets the tape. Now, when I cut this seam tape, I have a piece of this paper that I have in my pocket if I'm doing a lot of seams. Just lay that right back up on top of your seam tape, and it's way easier to cut off at the end. All right, now we leave that. Now we're going to release this top part off of the back side of what we primed to hold it back out of our way so we could prime our seam. So we're just going to release it back, let it set right up on top of the tape. So you don't release the paper until that is set. Alright. Depending on which way you want to go with it, doesn't really matter. I like going from right to left because I'm left-handed, but that's entirely up to you, however you want to do it. And here again, when you pull this paper, you want to be at about a 45-degree angle with the paper so it doesn't tear. And you got to make sure when you bring your hand to bring this, you always want to come this motion. You don't want to push back like that. Reason being, when this happens, you're doing two things. You're actually going to bring the air out of that seam. If you go that way, you're going to create a wrinkle in it. So you want to just keep pulling the tape at a 45. The other hand is just setting this into place. The reason you want to set it into place, if you don't and it's windy out, you're going to get a lot of sand blowing in that seam, and then you're going to have to just redo it all. Alright. Remember I said about the 1/4 to 3/4. You don't want to be over 3/4 ever. I'm over that here. We had a wrinkle here. I followed my lines, and that's what happened. So we would have to fix that by stripping it in with a piece of 5-inch. Alright, now we're going to roll this seam in. You want to have your roller at an angle. About 15 to 20 degrees is all you need. And there again, you want about 27 pounds of pressure per square inch. And you'll hear that. You can hear that little clicking noise. When you can hear that, you're pretty doggone close to what you have to be. And you want to make sure you go far enough over so you actually see that distinct tape line in the back. And you never want to roll and then miss a spot and roll, because that's a void then. So you want to make sure that you're always overlapping your roller when you roll it. And you want to make sure you go over the top front of the edge in the front as well. But you'll be able to know it too. You can see it and you can also hear that.